Like any year, late November of 1998 was a time for family gatherings and giving thanks for starting off another holiday season. It was no different for the Privacky family, which was gathering on Sunday, November 29th, for a late Thanksgiving. But the events of that day were nothing anyone would be thankful for. Before the Muskegon family could sit down at the dining table, 5 of them would be shot dead, and a manhunt would be underway for the 6th, and youngest, family member who was the prime suspect in the gruesome murders. The Privacky family killings would go down as the worst mass murder in recent history for the Lake Michigan community. Long after Seth Privacky was captured and admitted to the killings, the quest for understanding continued. What could have driven a young member of the family to commit such a monstrous act? What demons had possessed him, turning a day of Thanksgiving into a nightmare? Join me as we delve into the chilling depths of this tragic event. Together, we will journey through the haunting aftermath of the Privacky family killings, seeking answers and perhaps gaining insight into the darkest corners of the human psyche. Hello, I'm True Crime US. Thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. Today's case will take us to the charming town of Muskegon, Michigan. On November 2, 1998, amidst the serenity of the evening, growing concern enveloped April Boss's mother and stepfather. Their 19-year-old daughter had failed to come home from her boyfriend Jedediah Privacky's house, and unease settled in. With worry etched across their faces, they made a fateful decision to venture over to the Privacky home shortly before the stroke of midnight. As their car pulled up outside the residence, an eerie sight greeted them, a lifeless body sprawled on the driveway. The ghastly scene shook them to their core, compelling them to urgently contact the authorities. Through trembling words, April's mother, Julie, conveyed the grim discovery to the 911 operator. "There's a man, I fear he's deceased, lying in the driveway. All the expected occupants are nowhere to be seen, but their vehicles remain." She described the victim as drenched in blood, devoid of warmth, movement, or signs of life. Responding swiftly, the police arrived at the scene, their blue lights casting an eerie glow upon the chilling tableau. The lifeless man on the driveway underwent a cursory assessment, revealing the grim truth: death had claimed him. With grim determination, the investigators embarked on the solemn task of scouring the dwelling for clues, hoping to shed light on the darkened path that lay before them. Venturing deeper into the house, they stumbled upon a back room concealed behind the garage. Tragically, within its confines, lay the lifeless bodies of 2 more victims. Their search persisted, leading them further into the labyrinthine dwelling. Descending into a lower room, nestled within the basement's depths, yet another lifeless form awaited them. The somber procession continued, guided by an inexorable momentum, until they reached an upper bedroom. There, amidst the quietude, they encountered the haunting sight of a 5th life tragically cut short. The victims, cruelly snuffed out by an unforgiving hand, were identified as Stephen Privacky, aged 50, his beloved wife Linda Privacky, aged 49, his aging father John Privacky, aged 78, their own flesh and blood, Jedediah Privacky, aged 19, and the innocent young soul entwined in this tragic tale, April Boss, also aged 19. The circumstances of their deaths send shivers down one's spine, for each precious life was extinguished by the merciless onslaught of gunfire. While the authorities attempted to make sense of this nightmare, a young figure emerged from the surrounding woods, just a stone's throw away from the scene of horror. The figure was swiftly identified as 18-year-old Stephen Wallace, the closest confidant of Stephen and Linda's own son, Seth Privacky. As suspicions grew, a grim realization took hold. Wallace had played a chilling role in the aftermath of the massacre, aiding in the macabre task of obliterating any traces of the heinous crime. Yet, the central figure in this dark saga, Seth Privacky, remained elusive, evading capture. As the search intensified, fears grew, prompting heightened security measures at Reeth's Puffer High School, with an unwavering mission to safeguard the students and staff. Superintendent Gloria Lewis voiced the urgent concern, acknowledging the possibility that Seth Privacky, yet unaccounted for, may have suffered a grave fate, showcasing the depths of this nightmarish tragedy. Security is to comfort the families of students and the staff. We don't know where Seth is at this point, whether he has harmed himself. If police thought we were in serious danger, we would take more serious measures. About the Privacky family, they are absolute gems in their community, loved by everyone, and you won't find any stake with their neighbors. Let me tell you about Stephen, Seth's dad. He's the real backbone of the family. He spent a whopping 25 years of his life teaching those bright 5th grade minds. He was highly respected for his unwavering commitment to his profession, making valuable contributions as a devoted member of the school improvement committee. His compassion extended beyond the classroom, as he readily offered support to any student in need. Linda, on the other hand, worked as a receptionist at a medical office, nurturing a different but equally important role within her community. And there was John, a widower, residing in close proximity to the family, forging a bond strengthened by their shared bloodline. Meanwhile, Jedediah and April, both studying at Muskegon Community College, aspired to embark on a career in teaching. Their relationship, nurtured over the years, held the promise of a shared future. As investigators tirelessly pursued the elusive Privacky, the passage of nearly 24 hours finally led them to discover his hiding place, a barn located approximately a mile from his home. Prosecutor Tony Togg, grappling with the sheer incomprehensibility of the event, uttered words that mirrored the incredulity and disbelief surrounding the circumstances. The house was scattered with bodies. There was blood everywhere. It's difficult to imagine what possesses 18-year-olds to do something like this. Initially confounded by the motive behind the unspeakable act, investigators found solace, albeit twisted, in the confession spilled forth by Privacky himself upon his apprehension. He readily admitted to slaughtering his own family and his brother's girlfriend, citing a strained relationship with his father as a catalyst for the violence that unfolded. A glimpse into Privacky's troubled past revealed a criminal record tainted by only 2 prior incidents. In 1996, he had committed the act of theft, stealing beer from a store where he worked, resulting in probation. He successfully fulfilled the terms of his probation, yet troubles resurfaced when he was later arrested for shoplifting a compact disc. Concerns for his psychological well-being were raised by his parents, prompting a prescription for the antidepressant Wellbutrin and referrals for therapy. His parents, Stephen and Linda, exhibited unwavering devotion in their efforts to garner the necessary support for their troubled son. By April 1997, Privacky's academic performance had shown improvement, transforming from average to an impressive 3.28 out of 4.0. However, the toll of mounting family tensions began to take its toll. Privacky lamented the strained relationship with his father, expressing the feeling that his mother and brother consistently sided with his father, leaving him isolated. The fatal Sunday would forever be etched in history, as it marked the moment when Stephen, reaching his breaking point, firmly communicated to his son that it was time for him to depart from the family home, a pivotal confrontation that would trigger a chain of events sealing their tragic fate. And the series of horrifying events also officially began. The family had gathered at their home, still steeped in the lingering spirit of Thanksgiving, albeit belatedly. As Linda immersed herself in the comfort of a warm shower, Jedediah occupied himself with the solace of the television, anxiously awaiting the arrival of his girlfriend, April. Simultaneously, Stephen embarked on a mission to retrieve his father, John, to partake in the familial celebration. Unbeknownst to the unsuspecting family members, Privacky concealed himself within the confines of his bedroom upstairs, orchestrating an unthinkable act of violence. Methodically, he loaded his father's .22 caliber Ruger, laying the groundwork for a sinister plan. Tragically, his first victim would be Jedediah, struck down with a fatal gunshot to the back of his head as he innocently watched television. With calculated precision, Privacky awaited the return of his father and grandfather, lying in sinister wait to unleash his fury. Ambushing them upon their arrival, he unleashed a barrage of bullets, ensuring the demise of his grandfather with 2 fatal shots. Meanwhile, Linda, still blissfully oblivious to the unfolding horrors in the sanctity of her shower, would be the next unfortunate soul to succumb to Privacky's merciless intentions. Shortly thereafter, April arrived, her eyes meeting the chilling specter of lifeless bodies strewn across the home. Feeling the imminent danger, Privacky swiftly pulled the trigger, bringing an end to April's life. Privacky, with chilling candor, admitted to the brutal slaying of all 5 victims, and in a calculated move, he phoned his friend Wallace for assistance in manipulating the crime scene. Wallace had known about the murder plot. Privacky had chillingly articulated his vow to annihilate his entire family a mere day before. Consequently, when the fateful call from Privacky came, Wallace's response echoed with eerie finality. "It's done." Privacky's plan to incite confusion within the investigation took shape, as he carefully positioned the bodies within the confines of the home and laid them out on the driveway. The strategic placement aimed to weave a deceptive narrative, leading investigators to theorize that the murders were a result of a botched robbery. The meticulous disposal of shells and the disposal of the murder weapon, discarded into a nearby pond by Wallace, further obscured the truth. To meticulously stage the facade of a robbery, Privacky embarked on a journey to a local grocery store, purchasing duct tape, a deliberate act that investigators believed would serve as a deceptive element within the crime scene. Meanwhile, Wallace's actions took an unexpected turn as he ventured to a video store, followed by attending a church meeting. Later, he returned to the scene of the crime to assist Privacky in further cleaning up the grisly aftermath. However, amidst their efforts to conceal the truth, the unexpected arrival of April's parents disrupted their plans. In a desperate bid to evade capture, Wallace fled into the depths of the nearby woods. During his confession, Privacky's remorse became palpable. He revealed, "I never contemplated killing my parents until that very morning. I feel immense guilt. I wish I could undo it all. It was a tragic mistake. I would take it back 1,000 times if I could." Privacky confessed that when he evaded the pursuit of the authorities, his intentions were to bring about his own demise. Yet, as fate would have it, he had entrusted the murder weapon to Wallace for disposal. Both Privacky and Wallace faced a reckoning, being arraigned on 5 counts of open murder. A staggering bail of $5 million was set. In a surprising plea, Privacky requested a break on his bond, yearning for an opportunity to travel and experience the world before his inevitable lifelong imprisonment. "I would just like a chance to get out and see the world before I go away for a very long time." However, his plea was swiftly rejected, denying him any respite before facing the consequences of his heinous acts. Subsequently, the murder charges against Wallace were dropped, replaced instead by charges of being an accessory after the fact and using a firearm during a felony. His bail was reduced to $500,000, leading to his eventual release from custody. In May of 1999, Privacky appeared in court and entered a plea of no contest to the charges of murder. The plea resulted in a sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. As Judge James Graves Jr. delivered the sentence, he admonished Privacky, remarking, "The entire community stands shocked at your actions. You turned what should have been a pleasant Thanksgiving weekend into your own killing field." Privacky, remorseful but aware of the impossibility of undoing the grievous harm inflicted, offered an apology, stating,
"I'm sorry for what I did, but that's hardly enough."
Subsequently, Privacky took a moment to reach out to the Chronicle, seeking to distance himself from comparisons to the infamous Columbine shooters. In his letter, he vehemently stated, "I was not an outcast in my school. Although I was not the most popular student at school, I had no lack of friends. I got along with pretty much everybody." Continuing his defense, Privacky acknowledged the unfortunate outcome that befell his family, including April Boss. However, he contested the portrayal of himself as a monstrous figure. "Although it is very regrettable that this happened to my family, April Boss included. I am not this monster people make me out to be. I do have feelings, and for whatever it's worth, I am not totally responsible for what happened because I'm convinced Mr. Sawin played a role in this event." The true identity of this enigmatic figure referred to as Mr. Sawin remained undisclosed, leaving investigators to conjecture that Privacky may have been under the influence of cocaine at the time of the murders. It was also revealed that he had a history of drug experimentation, engaging in the use of LSD, marijuana, and alcohol. Another possible interpretation of Mr. Sawin could be a reference to the biblical story of Cain and Abel. In a surprising turn of events, Wallace was acquitted of all charges against him in November. However, the narrative took an even more tragic turn in July of 2010, when Seth Privacky lost his life while attempting to escape from the Kinross Correctional Facility. Alongside 2 other inmates, Privacky seized control of a tractor-trailer by overpowering the driver, shortly after 9 a.m. They crashed the vehicle through a formidable double-chain link fence, topped with razor wire, and covered around 100 yards before abandoning the truck and commencing their frantic run. The prison guards at the facility swiftly reacted, commanding the men to halt. While the two accomplices complied, Privacky defied their orders and continued his desperate sprint. In response, the prison guards were compelled to employ lethal force, ultimately bringing an end to Privacky's escape attempt and his life.